Hey, Dr. Karen Can here, and this is a video in a series of videos that I am producing related to the coronavirus pandemic. How to stay healthy, happy, and harmonious. At least that's what I'm calling this playlist. So in this video, I'm going to give you both practical strategies how you can stay healthier, as well as some metaphysical and spiritual tips as well. So we're going to look at both the practical and the metaphysical and spiritual both. So just as a warning, this video is not appropriate for people who are not interested in holistic and or alternative healing, those that prefer to stick with Western ideas and ideologies, conventional medicine, drug surgery, etc. So if that's you, then we'll just say goodbye. But and it's all good. However, if you are more holistically minded and would like to think out of the box, and think of ways that you can feel better, protect yourself, have better health, using everything that we know in the body, mind, spirit connection of health and healing, then yes, this is a great video for you to watch. So today is March 18th, 2020, and we are at the point in the coronavirus pandemic here in the USA where there are thoughts of closing the borders. Certainly all the schools have been closed. The ice rink is closed, much to my disappointment. There is no toilet paper at the grocery store. However, there are some at the health food store. There are some empty shelves definitely at the grocery store as well. So I think it's very eerie and scary for a lot of people going through this, especially young people who have not had any sort of trauma in this area before. I mean, if we talk about our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they've gone through war, they've gone through all sorts of things, but it's been relatively peaceful in the West, not everywhere in the world, of course. So this is very weird and scary for a lot of people. So how do we remain healthy, happy, and harmonious and sane during all of this? Well, today I'm going to give you one piece of practical advice and one piece of metaphysical and spiritual piece of advice. As far as the practical goes, I'm actually going to share a little bit about Chinese medicine. I'm an acupuncturist and a medical doctor. And what's very fascinating is in Chinese medicine, they talk about infections as an invasion of pernicious influences. Because back then, they didn't have a description for bacteria or viruses. They didn't have a microscope to describe these little bugs. So it was all about the health and wellness of the immune system, and the influences or outer influences were called pernicious influences. So there was things like excess damp, excess heat, excess wind, excess dry, excess summer heat, excess cold. And a virus in the winter months would often come as, in Chinese medicine, they would call it a cold wind invasion, for example. So how you would know symptomatically is very similar to what you would feel when you first start getting a cold or the flu, is you would start potentially feeling tightness. I know that's the sign that I get, is if I feel sort of tightness in my neck area. So it kind of like the tissues kind of go like this. It feels kind of cold and stiff. So that is one of my first symptoms of a cold wind invasion. Now we can protect ourselves from a cold wind invasion and the when we're talking about Chinese medicine, many ways. One, of course, is having a very good diet. So you're not eating a lot of junk food. You're eating like whole foods and lots of fluids and hydration, things like that. And the other thing, of course, is very practical protection. So your wind points, so to speak, we're talking specifically about wind cold because that's the most common when it comes to the common cold viruses in addition to coronavirus, which is also respiratory. So we take a look at the acupuncture points that have to do with wind, and there are two sets. There are some at the back of the neck, and then there are some in the thoracic area. Now, it's a little bit more challenging to treat, so to speak, your acupuncture points back here by yourself because it's kind of a little bit hard to reach. But what I'm going to share with you today is a very practical strategy you can do to actually help to fortify your wind points, which are easily accessible at the back of your neck. So these points here are called gallbladder 20. You can look it up on Google where the location is exactly. I find that one of the most practical ways of using this point is if you start to feel a little cold coming on, a little sniffle, or a little, that stiffness in your neck. Doesn't matter whether it's corona or not corona, right? It's like signs of possibly, catching an infection. So your immune system's compromised for whatever reason. Maybe you went running outside in the cold without a hat on, which I see so many kids do, drives me nuts. So if you get that, then it could mean these wind points are, have excess wind in them. So what you want to do is be able to treat these points here. Now there's acupressure, so you can actually treat them with your thumbs by going like this. And what you're looking for is, here is the muscle, sternocleidomastoid muscle is a big muscle, strapping muscle that goes down here. If you go behind that muscle, you actually see that there's actually a point. It's like a little divot there in the bottom of your skull on both sides. And if you push on it, oftentimes it'll be a little bit sore. And it may be more sore if you've had a wind invasion, so to speak. Here, like fans will do it sometimes. Some people are very resilient to wind, doesn't bother them at all. Me, not so much. Like, I would never buy a convertible. No. Okay, so now, of course, it's a little bit challenging to press on these, because you got to press pretty intensely here, and you can't keep doing this all day long, right? Especially when you start getting symptoms. So what I usually recommend is using the LifeWave phototherapy patches, because they will activate those acupuncture points for a full 12 hours. So the question then is, which ones do I use, Dr. Karen? Okay, well, the most versatile one you can use is called the let's see, can you see that? Yeah, so energy enhancer patches. There is a white and a tan. So for each application, there's a white and a tan, and it's very simple. White goes on the right-hand side, so I'm just touching the right-hand side of the back of my neck, and then tan goes on the left-hand side. So that is very practical, and it's 12 hours on, and then it, usually runs out of gas at that point. And then, the next day you can wear another set if necessary. If you catch it soon enough, these symptoms coming on, these wind symptoms, sometimes when you activate these acupuncture points, boom, they're gone. And that's really cool when that happens. So I highly recommend the patches, and this is a very great way that you can use the patches on these wind points to support the healthy function of the wind points, and also your help support your immune system. Now, the other option, if you don't have energy enhancer patches, but you happen to have some of the other patches, one really quick combo you can use is the YH Eon patches, which helps with stress and inflammation, and the SP6 patches. Now, the SP6 patches is classically used for appetite control, and for me, it really helps balance my blood sugars. That's what I notice in my body. It's not data, it's just my own personal experience. So I find that it really helps with energy production as well. And how you use these is that the SP6 Complete is a negatively charged patch. The Eon patches are a positively charged patch, so you can use that as if the white, as if you do the energy white on right, tan on left. You can use the Eon on one side and the SP6 on the other. So the Eon would go on the right side, and the SP6 would go on the left side. And the nice thing about this is they both have influences on healthy hormone levels. And the Eon patches had a lot of studies on that with cortisol and things like that. So it actually helps with stress, helps with inflammation, may help you with your appetite, but you can use that in combination on these points. So that's what I have on today. So I'm going to turn around, and so hopefully you can see that. Now it's a little different from my classical brain balancing points, in case you've seen my brain balancing on YouTube, because that's right behind the ear. This is a little further back on gallbladder 20. So I'm just going to put my hair up here, and hopefully you can see these. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You could say, Dr. Karen, you got one a few millimeters higher than the other. Doesn't matter. As long as you're in the vicinity of gallbladder 20, you're good to go. If it's a little bit lower because you got hairline lower, that's fine. You make your intention, gallbladder 20, and you can put it on there. And remember to drink lots of water, because the patches work best when you're well hydrated. So that is a really great, simple strategy that you can do, that if you start feeling that wind cold, that stiffness, like you might be coming down with something, this is a good way to support the immune system. Now, the other combination of patches or patch locations that may be helpful, I'm actually using today as well. And this is on acupuncture point triple burner 5. Now, I have patches, I don't know if you can see that well, but this is this is a tan patch, and this is a white patch, and it's in the middle of the forearm, and it's about 3 finger widths from the wrist crease here, and then you got a patch. So white goes on right, tan goes on left, and that's triple burner 5, and that does have a role in acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, to help support the Wei Qi Field. The Wei Qi Field is the field of energy that helps support what we in Western medicine would call your line of defense, or first line of defense. Stimulating that acupuncture point can be really helpful to stimulate that, defense mechanism. So that's your other option as well. And I wouldn't necessarily use that point like every day, because certain acupuncture points might want to be used more than others, but that is one of the points that I believe is on the Energy Enhancer brochure. So it's the brochure that comes with the Energy Enhancers. There is that protocol on the back of their wrist, and it just happens to be a good spot to help fortify that outer defense energy field. Okay, so that's the practical. Now let's get to the spiritual and the metaphysical. So you've probably heard of the placebo effect, right? So in a placebo-controlled trial of, say, a medication or drug, what they would do is they would give, a fake pill to half the population that they are testing, the real pill to the other half, and then they see like who gets a response, right? Now, sometimes they will warn people of the side effects of either, of the drug, and most of the time it's double blind. It means the researchers don't know who got what pill, and the people who receive the pill don't know either. So supposedly that's our gold standard. So if there's a randomized double-blind controlled trial, that means it's the least bias of all the different kinds of studies available. Now, there's certain kinds of studies you cannot do a double-blind, because it would be unethical to do that. Like a surgery, it's like, hi, you have knee pain. Well, we're just going to pretend to do the surgery on you, So they have done something like that, but it's very, very specific circumstances. So the placebo effect is when the people getting the fake pill or the sugar pill actually get a positive response as if they're taking the drug. Now, this has confounded researchers for a very long time, especially if you're a drug manufacturer, because the numbers can range as low as 15% to upwards of 72% placebo, meaning that we'll average it out to about 35%, 40%, depending on which studies you've read over the years or you've looked at. So the placebo effect's pretty big. It's pretty big. I think most of the time it's going to be around the 30 or 40% mark for most medications. And what that means is that, that even if you take a sugar pill, that you will get a positive response. And so it's challenging for drug manufacturers to consistently get a better response than the placebo. And once they have statistically significant, response, then they can, publish that study and would be well on their way to getting their medication approved by, in the U.S., the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. Now, the thing I want to tell you about is the nocebo effect. Yes, it's like in this article, I'll actually post this below the video on WebMD. It talks a little bit about the nocebo effect, or the negative side of the placebo effect. And that is the opposite. When you think something bad is going to happen, you're more likely to have that bad thing happen. So, for example, in a drug trial, if they say, well, it's possible this drug may make you lose hair, may make you, have pain, may make you not sleep at night, even people on the placebo are more likely to get those side effects just by being told about those side effects. Okay, that's called the nocebo effect. Now, how is this relevant to the coronavirus? Well, you could probably put 2 and 2 together, right? So if you know about the coronavirus and you're concerned about it and you know the symptoms, and you focus your mind on the symptoms of it, or whatever, sneezing, elbow, whatever is going on in your life, it is possible that you will manifest the symptoms of coronavirus if your mind has convinced you subconsciously that you might be getting it or that you have gotten it. So that anxiety and that fear can work against you. On the other hand, some people are just naturally, they just always focus on what's going right rather than what's going wrong. So they don't get into that fear at all. They don't get wrapped up in social media fear, the news fear, whatever. It's sort of like, whatever, and that is the best place to be, kind of like, whatever. Keep living every day, do your precautions, no big deal, so it's kind of neutral, emotionally neutral. So those folks are less likely to end up with that nocebo effect, where they start getting symptoms and feeling sick just because other people are feeling sick. So I think you just need to be really aware of these kinds of things. And whatever it is in your subconscious mind that causes the placebo effect or the nocebo effect, why not use that to your benefit? So in other words, bring to consciousness like what your feelings are, what your emotions are, because that'll give you a hint on whether you're more pro placebo or pro nocebo. Okay, so sometimes people will take vitamin C, and whether or not it does anything, probably, but they feel better just knowing they have it to take, right? And then they can sometimes go, well, my immune system is really good because I'm taking, 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. And you know what? If that works for them, that thought, hey, I've got my vitamin C, I'm protected, then awesome, right? That would be more of a placebo effect or a positive effect of the vitamin C, of course. But it could also be a placebo effect as well. And I do this too. I gotta totally, admit do I have vitamin C on board? Yes, I do. Part of it is sort of like, well, can't hurt, and probably makes me poop. So, so I'll use it, but not freaking out either when I'm running out. You know what I mean? So in my case, it may be more of a placebo effect because I just know I'm doing something, biological. Like I work with frequencies all the time, and they're very powerful, but they're unseen, they're invisible, right? So when we do topic healing and things like that, it's invisible. Yes, it can work like magic, but it's invisible. Whereas vitamin C is very visible. Like it's a packet, vitamin C. I feel like I'm doing something. So whatever you feel is for your highest and greatest good, and you have this habit, whether it's hydration, whether it's like exercising, getting enough sleep, which is super important, for your immune system, not stressing out, which is super important for your immune system, not overeating sugar, which is super important for your immune system, all those positive things, in addition to them possibly helping you with a stronger immune system and not getting sick, mentally, subconsciously, is like a positive placebo effect as well. There could be both those things going on. On the other hand, your emotions, if they're into worry or fear, or you're just ruminating over the coronavirus, you're ruminating over the news, and you're passing news back and forth to each other, like what so and so said and what so and so said, and should we take ibuprofen, shouldn't we take ibuprofen, and you're kind of in that worry state. Okay, so monitor, like feel in your body, like how does that feel. If you're in that worry state, then you're more likely to get a nocebo effect, where you would get symptoms based on your focus on this so-called negative. So just really, feel on a day-to-day basis, minute-to-minute basis, where you're at with that. And you'll know whether you are more on the positive or placebo side, which is good, or the negative or the nocebo side, which is not preferred. Let's just say it's not preferred. And how you know is just through your emotions. And then if you feel like, oh my gosh, I really am focusing on the negative, then change the channel, do something differently. So in other words, like, how children, when they are, say they fall down and skin their knee or something like that, right? No one's looking, they don't cry. But so they might cry for a while, and then within 3 minutes they get totally into what they're playing and the pain's gone, and you're like, okay, that was fast, right? As adults, we don't do that. We ruminate, we worry, we ruminate, we worry, we ruminate, and so we keep thinking the same thoughts over and over and over and over again, and that amplifies the energy in that direction. So we can be more like children. So if you want to get information about the coronavirus or whatever, you could take that information from the news, internet, whatever, filter it through your higher self and higher being, and feel within, does this feel true for me, or doesn't it feel true? Does it cause fear? And the thing is that if you find that something causes fear, that usually is the wrong direction, because we know that the fear then causes stress, the stress then causes the other parts of your body, mind, soul to be under stress, and that causes eventually your immune system not to be happy, and that's the last thing we want, right? We want you to be able to sleep well. So if you can dip into the news, come out of it, and feel completely neutral, you're an expert. You're an expert. So that is the ideal, to be able to get the information if you want to get it, and be completely neutral about it. Sort of like, yeah, whatever. Because if that's your if you're able to release the fear of others, relieve your own fear, things like that, and you get to that place of neutrality, that's when intuition really can drop in. Because otherwise it's way too noisy, emotionally, like, too noisy for your intuition, for you to even feel your intuition. So so that's the video for today. I hope this has been helpful. If it is, please do comment below the video. Let me know what you found most helpful about this, how it's maybe changed your perspective, and if this is helpful for you, then please share the public version of this video with other people that you know and love, who you think might resonate with this message. So thanks so much for listening in. I look forward to connecting with you next time, when I give you more hints on how to stay healthy, happy, and harmonious during the coronavirus pandemic. Bye for now.